I think we've formed a quorum. It is also time to start, so I call the meeting to order. Item 1 on the agenda. Confirmation of minutes of the previous meeting. The minutes have been sent out to members, so please take a look and see if you've got any comments. The Secretariat hasn't received any proposed amendments. Minutes confirmed? All right, thank you. So minutes confirmed. Since the last meeting, we have a letter from Mr. Tang Ka-piu dated the 13th of May 2015, a copy of which has been sent out to members. You'll find it in CB bracket 214X3/14 to 15 bracket 01. And that's in relation to occupational safety and health. That is, at the piers, we found that there is air pollution from the emission of vessels, and therefore the workers working at the piers will have their health affected. What are you on about the agenda? No, we are not yet on that part. It's about the letter from Mr. Tang Ka-piu. As the administration has proposed to talk about occupational health at the July regular meeting. So why don't we ask the administration to address the concern in Mr. Tang's letter as part of that agenda item? So members, your views? Mr. Lee Cheuk-yen, we did complain about that. In fact, the seats of the operators of the cranes are such that it's not conducive to their occupational health. So can we take this up as well? Sure. So together with Mr. Tang's letter, this will be discussed. Ms. Chen Yun-han, not so much about this letter. I'm on something else. I will be raising this point every time. What about our proposal to start the subcommittee on standard working hours? Yes, it has been overtaken. I think everybody knows that at the House Committee meeting, the priority slot has been given to the subcommittee on the 3 one-way system. Well, Mr. Chairman, I just wonder if we should exert pressure on the administration. Otherwise, they'll have an easy time for the next few months. That is, we should have this as a standing item every time to talk about standard working hours. Mr. Lee Cheuk-yen, you've said that by having a subcommittee, we can be more organized when we talk about the standard working hours. Perhaps before we set up the subcommittee, the Manpower panel should be having this as a regular item, so that every time we talk about the standard working hours, then we achieve the same purpose as having a subcommittee that is will be able to look at each and every component in great details. It's a bit different. Yes, Mr. Yip Kwok Him. Well, Mr. Chairman, seldom have I heard about having one regular item on the agenda of each meeting of a panel. I think it's more about giving comments on policies rather than having regular discussion of a particular topic. I think this will be a departure from the practice that I know about in relation to panel meetings. Let me supplement. I don't want to open a debate, not so much a debate. Now, Mr. Yip has said that this hasn't been allowed in the past. Between the years 2004 to 08, at that time we have Mr. Lau Chin-shek as the chair of the panel on manpower. At the time, at every meeting, we had a discussion about the minimum wage. And so as a result, after the year 2008, the administration proposed the bill on minimum wage. basically, I'm not against the idea. So maybe I refer the idea from Chen Yunhan and Lee Cheuk-yen to the administration to see if we can sort of set aside some time at each meeting for this topic. I think we need to consider the arrangements of the topics on our agenda. If we have this every time, it means there will be less time for the rest of the agenda. So I think we need to talk to the government and tell the government what we think. Item 3, date of next meeting, as well as the items for discussion. Well, I think you have got the list of outstanding items for discussion. Well, for our next meeting, it will be held on the 16th of June. For today's meeting, we have swapped an item. At first, we have planned to talk about Hong Kong's occupational safety performance in 2014, but then we have to replace it with another more urgent issue. So we will take this up, and then we will also talk about the enhanced protection for foreign domestic helpers, as today we have to talk about the general public holiday on the 3rd of September. Any questions? No? So be it. And at this moment, I would like to invite the government's representative to join us. While we are sort of waiting for them to join us, I would like to say that you have got a paper from the administration, CB bracket 2 1464/14 to 15 bracket 01. In a moment, Mr. Tong, the Commissioner for Labor, will walk us through that paper. And then we have also got a letter, which is a submission from the Catholic Diocese of Hong Kong. And you found it in CB bracket 2 1516/14 to 15 bracket 01. In addition, from the Secretariat, we have got a background brief. You find it in CB bracket 2 1482/14 to 15 bracket 03. So I'm sure that you have got all the relevant papers. I'd like to extend a welcome to Mr. Donald Tong, Commissioner for Labor, as well as Mr. Charles Hui, Assistant Commissioner for Labor, and Ms. Corina Zhang, Senior Labor Officer from the Labor Department. Welcome. You will brief us on the first discussion item. So please walk us through the paper. Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, members. If I may start with a very brief statement. Well, for the job seekers and the employers, we have got a wide range of free employment and recruitment services. In the light of the market conditions, in the light of the different needs of the job seekers, we'll be making timely adjustments so as to provide the right kinds of services. For our regular work, we'll continue to organize job fairs. In fact, in the year 2014, we had more than 10 large-scale job fairs and also over 900 district-based job fairs. Within this year, we'll continue to have a number of job fairs so as to help the job seekers, and we would like to help the district employers to help the Hong Kong job seekers to understand better the employment and vacancy information on the mainland. Later this year, there will be a large-scale job fair which will feature employment and vacancy information on the mainland. We hope that this will enhance the understanding of the local job seekers on the job opportunities and employment conditions across the boundary. Currently, we have got 2 industry-based recruitment centers, namely one for the catering industry and the other for the retail industry. In the year 2014, for the 2 industry-based recruitment centers, 491 job fairs were organized. Sort of almost every day we have got some recruitment activities. We've taken into account the experience of the two centers, and we are going to set up another industry-based recruitment center for the construction industry. And we plan to have it in Kowloon Bay, where we have the construction industries training center. Hopefully, it can be commissioned in early 2014. We can help the construction workers to find jobs and to help the employers to recruit local workers.
At the same time, we would strengthen employment support for certain types of job seekers, and the first is the support for mature persons. First of all, we will extend the employment program for the middle-aged to part-time jobs, and starting this September, those who work 18 to 30 hours per week, for those who are age 40 or above, we would provide subsidies to the employers to encourage them to employ middle-aged and more mature persons. And at certain job vacancy terminals and service counters, we would also organize employment briefings for these mature persons to assist them with job searching. We would also encourage employers to introduce work-friendly environments for mature persons and elderly people. And the aim is to encourage employment among middle-aged people. And we'll continue to work with the Youth Employment Training Program, or YETP. And under the program, we launched a pilot scheme with 6 separate programs. And around 700 young people were able to benefit. Having had the experience of the previous year, we will launch 2 pilot projects this year, and one of the projects is the hotel operation training program, as well as the reading culture program. And we hope to provide on-the-job training for young people who are interested in the catering and publishing industries. And at the same time, we will continue to provide employment support for ethnic minorities. This year, we will organize 2 large-scale job fairs, as well as 11 district-based inclusive job fairs. And they will be catered towards employment opportunities for ethnic minorities. And during these job fairs, we will provide translation services. And in March this year, we piloted an employment services ambassador program for ethnic minorities under YETP. And in September last year, during phase 1 of the program, 15 ethnic minority trainees took part, and this time we will have 17 trainees. Finally, we will also enhance the services for job seekers with disabilities starting from September this year. We will enhance the manpower at the Labor Department to help job seekers with disabilities. Upon employment, we will provide follow-up services, and the follow-up period will be extended from 3 months to 6 months starting this September. And our employment officers can help these job seekers, as well as can help these job seekers blend in with their jobs and employers. And if necessary, they can apply for subsidies to upgrade their equipment in order to allow job seekers with disabilities to work. And in March and July this year, we will organize 4 government interview workshops for persons with disabilities. We understand that a lot of job seekers with disabilities are interested in government positions. And we have also considered persons with disabilities with high academic qualifications. And in June, we will organize a large job seminar where experts will be invited to provide advice to these job seekers with disabilities. So that's all for that's about all for the paper. Thank you very much. We expect a lot of discussions for the next item on the agenda, so please be concise for Dr. N. Chang, Mr. Tommy Chang, Mr. Peter Chang, Mr. Poon Siu Ping, Mr. Tang Ka-piu. 4 minutes, please. If you want a more detailed answer from the government, please be brief with your question. We might not have a second round of questions. Dr. N. Chang, please. Thank you, Chairman. I have a question for the Labour Department. According to the paper, in 2014, the Labour Department recorded a historical high number of private sector vacancies at 1.22 million. A lot of SMEs told me that they cannot recruit enough staff. So my question is, did the Labour Department conduct any analysis on which sectors face the greatest shortfalls in terms of manpower? And we have lots of retirees or people who just retired in our community, including ethnic minorities. We also have a lot of women and ethnic minorities. What can we do to better engage these groups of people to alleviate the manpower shortage situation? Thank you very much for the question. Perhaps I will update you on the current situation first. From January to April this year, when we look at the number of vacancies, wholesale, retailing, hospitality, and catering, these are the sectors with the largest number of vacancies. And they make up 14.6% of the total number of vacancies. Well, this is the second most number of vacancies. And for community and personal services, they consist of 25%, and the construction industry, the figure is 12%. And they make up more than 50% of the total. Dr. N. Chang. How can we fill these vacancies? Can we maximize the labor force in Hong Kong? For example, ethnic minorities, retirees, and women, etc. And under the employment program for the middle age, it's eligible only for people aged 40 or above. We hope to encourage certain people, for example, women who need to take care of their family members, to work. So as such, we extended the scope of the employment program from to encompass people on part-time work, and hopefully we can encourage younger people to join our workforce. They might not want to work the whole day. They might work half a day, for example. So I hope, I think the employment program helps in this regard. And through dialogues between the Labor Department and employers and HR managers, we have educated them on how they can make use of our women workforce. And the current unemployment rate in Hong Kong is 3.3%. We are trying to provide a big incentive for employers to hire these people. Dr. Kwok Wai Keung and Mr. Chung Kok Man. So I have an easy question for everyone. And for the district-based job fairs, you have organized 959 such fairs, attracting some 35,000 job seekers. So if you, by simple math, you only have about 400 attendants for each fair, it doesn't seem to be very effective. So why is that so? And this afternoon, in the Commission on Poverty meeting, we had a group of persons with disabilities as deputations. They wanted to have a certain quota in the number of civil servants hired for PWDs. What have the government done in encouraging PWD employment? Have you stipulated specific percentages for big corporations? And recently, we were asked about the issue of workplace age discrimination. Has the Labor Department worked with the Equal Opportunities Commission on what you will do going forward in terms of tackling age discrimination? Sometimes when we watch TV commercials, we see that age discrimination should be eliminated, but in terms of concrete measures, what does the Labor Department have in store? 3 questions, Commissioner. The figure mentioned by Mr. Kwok refer to job seekers who attend our job fairs and complete job matching. So after the job matching, they might not be interested anymore, and we wouldn't count those attendants. Some attendants might not show immediate interest during the job fairs, but after that they might contact us or the employers directly. So what are the scales of those job fairs? If you have more than 40 booths and at the end you only have a few dozens of applicants, what are you going to do? In our job fairs, some of them are big and some are small. These job fairs are held in our employment centers. Some centers are bigger than others. For example, Yuen Long, Tin Shui Wai, and Wan Chai. But the centers at districts like Kwun Tong are relatively small. So it really depends on the size of our centers. Sometimes we have more applicants, sometimes less. We would. The point is, we would try our best to help the job seekers. And on encouraging employers to hire more PWDs, we have certainly done some work. We have put up slogans, advertisements, MTR banners, and we will send out circulars. And we have also worked with employers of certain industries as well as HR managers to promote our work. As I mentioned, the unemployment rate in Hong Kong is relatively low. So most employers would not be too picky in terms of hiring able-bodied or PWDs. We are open to suggestions. And in terms of age discrimination, I'll be very quick, Chairman. For employers in the private market, if they wish to use our services in employing new staff, we would we would see whether they have imposed any age restrictions. We feel that we should not discriminate against these people as well as ethnic minorities. We would raise our objections if they do not have reasonable grounds. If they do not comply with our requirements, we might reject their request for employment support. Do you agree with legislation for age discrimination? Commissioner, we'll be very careful in this regard, but at this moment, in terms of our employment services, we would instead turn to administrative measures. Mr. Chung Kwok-pan, Mr. Tommy Chung. Thank you, Chairman. Of course, these job fairs are useful because we can help both employers and job seekers. But right now, with the unemployment rate at only 3.3%, virtually everyone has a job.
It will be difficult for your measures to be effective. Moreover, for some jobs, yes, we would like to attract the women as well as the middle-aged, but then they will just be non-skilled workers. Yesterday, some workers who said that they are the butchers, they went to have a meeting with the secretary. They have complained that few young people are attracted to join their trade. So, in fact, we're talking about people who have a lot of special skills, though the job title may not be that appealing. And then for the construction industry, we don't have sufficient manpower for trades like bar fixing, and we have a shortage of over 10,000. So what are you going to do? I don't think you can have enough job fairs to address the problem. For the ethnic minorities, I think they have a high unemployment rate. They are young, but then they are unemployed. More of them are unemployed. Thank you, Mr. Chung, for his questions. Yes, we agree that job fairs may not cater for the needs of each and every industry. Like in the case of catering and retailing, I think it's easier. For jobs requiring a higher level of skills, job fairs may not be the most effective channel. We can have different approaches like retraining, as Mr. Chung has mentioned, and in fact the SOW in relation to skilled workers who will cut up the pork carcass. Yes, we can talk to the employee retraining board to see if anybody will be interested to join the trade. Now, we have the supplementary labor scheme. Of course, we have to be very careful if we can see that the construction industry employers have already done their part and they cannot get enough manpower locally to fill the jobs, then perhaps we can consider the supplementary labor scheme. We know that the Development Bureau has done some work and they would like to expedite the arrangements so that when there is a need, we can import labor. The overriding principle is not to jeopardize the job security of our local workers. As to the case of the ethnic minorities, we don't sit idle in our office. We are not passive. In fact, a lot of us have been reaching out. Say, for example, we go to their churches, we contact groups that serve them, and we have also had meetings with the Hong Kong CSS, hoping that we're able to reach out and we can attract this part of the labor force to join the workforce. In fact, we have got leaflets in 6 different languages so as to enable the ethnic minorities to understand our placement service. In fact, all the major information has been set out in both Chinese and English. And of course, if some of the EMs are not conversant in either Chinese or English, they can always use our interpretation service. Tommy Cheung and then Mr. Tang Ka-piu. The commissioner said that he has helped the catering industry in getting staff members. Well, he's not my future. Generally speaking, I'm more polite towards the department heads. I won't doubt the effectiveness of his initiative, but I have to say that even in this slack period, we have a very severe manpower shortage. Now, for the catering industry, we need a lot of manpower. Have you ever followed up on the job seekers who have been the clients of your placement service? For how long do they remain in the jobs, like 1 month or 2 months or what? So in other words, what is the wastage rate? Commissioner, for the PWD job seekers, we do have such a follow-up service, but for able-bodied job seekers, we haven't. Now, let me supplement. For the catering industry, just like in the case of the supplementary labor scheme, when we see that genuinely we have got a shortage of local workers, say for example, chefs responsible for non-Cantonese cuisine, we will give positive consideration to applications to import such workers if we can't find them in Hong Kong. And in fact, we have over 200 job fairs at the recruitment center for the catering industry. Sort of a few employers will be recruiting staff members on any one day every weekday. But I have to admit that the wastage rate is rather high. Exactly. I want everybody understands the crux of the matter, and then you can genuinely help the catering industry, and we can match the job seekers with the jobs so that they don't have to go around to different prospective employers. So it's better for the Labor Department to help the job seekers to be more focused in the job seeking exercise. It will also facilitate the employers as well. What I want to say is that perhaps it is worthwhile to spare some resources to look at the outcome. Not that I want to criticize that it is not effective and it's better for you not to waste the public money. On the contrary, I'm trying to say that if it is not effective, then perhaps you have to follow up on the job seekers who have been placed by you, and we better find out why they only stay with the job for a week or two or a month or two. Why is it that the job seekers placed by you have been leaving after such a short period of time? I think we need to find out about the crux of the matter, the root cause. I won't lightly resort to criticizing you and saying that you are wasting the resources. Now, you have done a lot of work. What is important is to check the outcome. If even you yourself don't think that the outcome is satisfactory, then perhaps we should join hands to find a better solution. Mr. Cheung, certainly will go back and consider the question that you raised carefully. I think it is right for us to find out about the reason. Even if we cannot carry out a comprehensive study, we should still try to have a sample survey and try to find out for how long the job seekers placed by us will stay in a particular job. Let me have a quick follow-up Mr. Chairman, now you have allowed your colleagues from the trade unions up to 5 minutes. I just wonder if it will be helpful if we carry out exit interviews. That is, for those who leave the employer that you have recommended, please carry out some exit surveys. A person may just stay in the job for a month or 6 weeks, so please try to find out from them why they would like to leave. Yes, we'll try our best, but my understanding is that currently for the catering industry, there is a very strong demand for manpower. So when people leave their job, or when someone approaches us, isn't so much they are out of a job. Maybe they just want to see if they can get a better package, like better working hours, etc. But still, we'll try to find out how we can gather the information to evaluate the effectiveness. Boss Zhang, maybe you give them a pay rise and then things will change for the better. Why don't you become an employer if you have so many comments? Mr. Peter Zhang, I'm concerned about the case of the ethnic minorities. I remember that we used to handle a complaint case, and the story was rather sad. We were told that the EMs went to the Labor Department to get information, and they were made to wait for a long time. You thought that no one came to talk to them. Perhaps your staff members couldn't speak their own language, but they do speak English. But then the staff at the counter cannot was not able to serve them, and then the information about the jobs was in Chinese only. And then eventually they landed a job, but they were surprised to see that they had to handle pork. So there is this cultural perspective that perhaps the Labor Department staff need to be more sensitive, and then we won't have such problems. Of course, everybody has received this submission from the AIM group of the Catholic Diocese of Hong Kong. Well, I think they're right to point out that for the job matching service, which has been abolished, should have been reinstated because it is very helpful for job matching. I think employers don't mind getting the EMs, but it's important to explain the culture of the EMs to them. What is also important is to explain the potential of the EMs. Some of them have had a high level of education while they were in their home countries. Now they come to Hong Kong, and yet they can only take up a job which is a job for washing up the dishes, and it is not quite good. Now, for your employment services ambassador program for the ethnic minorities, I think it is good. Now you're going to have 17, that is 2 more than last year, but then it will run for 6 months only. Well, it may take them 3 months to adapt to the new job, and then another 3 months they have to leave the job. So do you want to train the ambassadors, or do you want to work through the ambassadors and then you provide services for the EM job seekers? If the latter is true, then perhaps the ambassadors should be employed as permanent staff, full-time staff, so that the EM job seekers can get the help through the ambassadors and know more about employment. And they have also, in the submission, they've also asked for an enhancement of the interpretation service. You don't need to have your own interpreters. And in fact, we have telephone interpreting service. They have told us that they have waited for 45 minutes and still they haven't been put through to the interpreter at the other end of the telephone line run by the NGOs. So perhaps the Commissioner can comment on the points made. Commissioner. There are quite a lot of questions here. I'll try my best to be brief. First of all, cultural differences. Yes, we do understand this point. Our colleagues are also on a learning curve. We have the ambassador program for the ethnic minorities. We hope that through this scheme we can understand better the cultural differences. And then a word on the interpretation service. We have to rely on a particular NGO. For us to identify suitable persons to be ambassadors for the EMs, it has not been easy. We have been trying our best to reach out, and we have been working through the NGOs. We even went to the shops to seek them out, but then it hasn't been easy. Most of them are from Pakistan. And on this occasion, we have got some more from Nepal. We would like to get other ethnic minorities. So it has been difficult. So at our job centers, we have leaflets for the in the languages of different ethnic minorities. So when they come, they can just point at the relevant cards, and then we can serve them. And we mainly have to work through cheers.
We agree with the views of the Darcy Center, and we can consider having reservations so that they don't have to wait for services, or at least we would let them know of the waiting times to help the ethnic minorities, and this way we can avoid any misunderstandings. And with regards to the job matching service, we don't have job matching services across the board for all types of people, but it doesn't mean that we won't help these people. Although we won't have case managers, but we do have special service for persons with disabilities. For instance, we would find out about the potential of different job seekers and their interests, etc. We would try our best to help, and we would help maximize their talents. And with regards to the comments of the Darcy Center, we will see what we can do. Mr. Poon Siu-ping and Mr. Tang Ka-piu. Thank you, Chairman. As the Commissioner said, later this year, the Labour Department will will introduce information on employment in the mainland in the coming job fairs. A lot of employers complain that they cannot hire people in the local market, and the situation even worse given the low unemployment rate. So do you think this is the right time to introduce this measure? If the mainland market is too appealing, then it will draw even more people away from Hong Kong. And you mentioned that the recruitment center for the construction industry will be launched in early 2016. That means we still have to wait for another year. So do you think we should stop importing labor? And we should wait until the recruitment center opens next year before deciding what to do. If we continue to take imported labor applications, it might jeopardize the local labor market. And under paragraph 12, you mentioned the pilot projects. One of the projects will be the hotel operation trainee training project, and the other one is the reading culture pilot project. I'd like to know the details of these two projects. What's the training period, and with the completion of the projects, will the trainees be taken on board by any employers. Hong Kong has very close ties with the mainland in many ways, and in particular, business ties. We will see more business opportunities with the close ties. Some young people might not know much about the employment opportunities in China, and some of them might be worried about working in or even traveling to China for work. Through these job fairs, we hope to educate the local job seekers on the work conditions in the mainland. I think this would be beneficial to the young people in Hong Kong. Of course, the final decision whether or not to work in the mainland lies with the job seeker themselves. And for the construction industry recruitment center, it serves to help job seekers in Hong Kong who would like to work in the construction industry. It has no direct connection to imported labor. Right now, we request all employers who like to import technicians to conduct a 4-week recruitment exercise at our recruitment centers. Right now, we have 13 recruitment centers, and with the commissioning of the construction industry recruitment center, our work will be made more convenient. And that's not equal to saying that with the opening of this center, our construction workers will have nowhere to go. These are two separate issues altogether. Chairman, the third question. Please be brief. And in the hotel operation trainee training projects pilot scheme, we have 30 places. And for the publishing projects, we have 60 places. These are 6-month pilots projects, and just like other pilot schemes, at the end of the projects, trainees with satisfactory performance, and well, just like other pilot projects, a lot of employers would hire these trainees. Mr. Lee Cheng-yan, Chairman, and we talked about discrimination against PWDs in the Poverty Commission meeting earlier today. So my question is, what is the relationship between civil servants and yourselves? When there are openings in the civil service, well, of course, it has to do with the Civil Service Bureau. If there are civil servant openings, as an employer, would they get in touch with you? How would you encourage the government as the biggest employer in Hong Kong to hire job seekers with disabilities who are registered under the Labor Department? There are lots of unemployed job seekers with disabilities. There are simply too many of them. A lot of them are dismayed because they have failed repeatedly. Of course, we also care about the ethnic minorities. We should tackle the roots of the problem with the interpreting service or other services. Do you have any employment officers who are ethnic minorities? Do you have any civil servants who are ethnic minorities who can take charge of these services? Of course, some people ask us for figures, so we might come back to you later on to obtain the distribution of Chinese versus non-Chinese job seekers. Perhaps I will list them out later so you can give us a written response. how can I think the real problem is how can you make them feel engaged or involved? Interpreting service is not enough in some ways. Can the Labor Department actually hire some of these ethnic minorities? Thank you very much for the question. First of all, for the Civil Service Bureau, the Labor Department pays constant attention to civil service openings, and if necessary, we would list out those openings under our registry. For both able bodies and persons with disabilities, they would know about the openings. And for ethnic minorities, we have implemented an ambassador scheme, which is under YETP. Applicants must be aged 15 to 24 with sub-degree or below educational attainment. And we will consider very carefully our way forward, and we'll wait until the second phase is wrapped up. We feel that we don't just need ethnic minorities for job openings. We need them for other areas as well. We have quite a number of ethnic minority job seekers. We have more than 10 recruitment centers, so we have to deal with it very carefully. Regardless, we feel that we would need interpreting service. As I mentioned, we have more than 10 ambassadors, and they have been very helpful, especially for Pakistanis. Thank you very much, Commissioner. Let's move on to the next item on the agenda. You have something to say on the next item, right? Yes. Let's invite the administration in. Thank you very much. First of all, let's welcome Mr. Matthew Chung, Mr. Donald Tong, the Commissioner, and Ms. Melody Look, Assistant Commissioner for Labour. The item is designated on a one-off basis, the 3rd of September 2015, as a special holiday. The government submitted a paper, LC paper number CB-21482/14-15-04. First of all, let's invite the administration to walk us through this paper before we open the floor to questions from members. Secretary, please. Chairman, members, as you remember, last week we announced the 3rd of September 2015. It would be the anniversary day for the victory of the Chinese people's war resistance against Japanese aggression. So as such, we would designate a one-off special holiday. And hopefully we can allow Hong Kong citizens to take part in various activities. And on that day, the administration will organize a series of activities, including forums, exhibitions, ceremonies, etc. And the purpose is to allow the public to remember this day in history. We will establish that day as a statutory holiday and general holiday. As you know, general holidays are company holidays, and it will be kept by banks, educational establishments, etc. They will be closed that day. And for labor holidays, they are a requirement under the labor ordinance, and they are the rights of employees. And it's stipulated very clearly under the law. If they are not being observed, then it's a violation of the law. So that's the main difference between general holidays and statutory holidays. And on the 15th of May, it has been discussed under the Labor Advisory panel, and we would gazette the amendment on Friday, and we'll have the first and second readings at LegCo soon after. Hopefully, we can secure the support of the members so that it can be passed as soon as possible. Hopefully, before the 8th, we can have it concluded before the 8th of July, before the summer recess, so that everyone can prepare ahead for this coming holiday. Thank you very much, Secretary.
I now open the floor to members for questions. First of all, Mr. Tommy Cheung, 4 minutes each. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I hope both the questions and answers will be brief. I hope that he will be reminded that he's responsible for labor and welfare, not home affairs. So don't dodge the issue. Have you ever assessed the financial impact on the business sector? Well, as to the economic impact, I think we have already given an idea in our paper. Indeed, one business day will be affected. However, some establishments may continue with the operation, so they may have to get extra manpower, or they may have to pay other types of allowance. So there will be extra expenditure. It will be difficult to attach a dollar sign. However, in the year 2010-2011, at that time there was a survey about giving an extra statutory holiday. I'm talking about statutory holiday rather than a general holiday, but on this occasion it is a SH cum GH. So for statutory holidays, the cost will be $370 million for one business day as of 2011. But then, of course, the actual impact will differ from one establishment to another. And on this occasion, all organizations will also have a day off, so it is also a GH. So I think the price tag will be more than $370 million. I think the government, as well as the secretary, are being generous at our expense. They treat somebody to a banquet, and yet they ask the SMEs to pick up the bill, to think that this is a mere $370 million. For filibustering, it is costing us billions of dollars. I think it's better for you not to do something at our expense. Please be sympathetic towards the SMEs. Now let me come back to the question before us. I made this point in the past, I believe, but I haven't yet carried out a survey. But I believe that for the catering industry, for this one-off holiday, probably the voice of objection won't be strong. I've been asked by the media as to whether it is for a political reason. Please don't mumble next to me. I've been asked as to whether I am not objecting because of a political reason. And in fact, I will protest and I will object whenever something is being done to exploit us. I'm not that not holding a very strong opinion, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to vote for it. Secretary, well, usually using that by handing out some sweeteners, you will not encounter an objection. Now, some members are saying that we have one country, two systems. And in fact, for China, on the mainland, they have 3 days off, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th of September. Why are you so mean? And somebody is suggesting that there should be an amendment to have 2 more days instead of just the 3rd of September. What will you do if there is to be an amendment from a member or members? Well, we have to look at our own local circumstances. The 3rd of September has significance. For the 4th and the 5th, well, the mainland has got their own arrangements. They have got the concept of the Golden Week, but in Hong Kong we haven't. So we have to rely on our own mechanism, and we have our own circumstances to take into account. Give me 2 more seconds. I just want to put on record. Please do not repeat it year after year. Because we're told that it should be one-off. Otherwise, we will say that we need to celebrate the 71st and the 72nd anniversary. Boss Zhang, I thank you in advance for suggesting that we have the 4th and the 5th of September off as well. I didn't say that, Chair. Next, Kwok Wai Kang and then Sin Chung Kai. It is always good for the employees to get an additional day off, irrespective of the reason behind it. No one would say no to an additional day off. Now, the government has made it clear it is both a statutory holiday and a general holiday, so everybody will have a day off and will get paid. I think you need to have public education. Otherwise, employees will say that, well, I don't know it's a day off and I don't know that my employer should pay me. So it has to be clear, otherwise there will be disputes. Second, I think we need to look at the significance. On the mainland, the citizens are given a day off so as to attend activities. In Hong Kong, we have greater freedom and we can use the time available in whatever way we like. Just now, the SLW has said that the economic impact would be to the tune of $370 million. Now, we have been asking for 17 statutory holidays as well. But then half of the employees are having 17 days off. So I thought when you talked about $370 million, you were referring to half of the workforce having a day off only. So would you agree with me that the total impact would be $700 million, but still it would be a small sum only? Of course, we are more concerned about the long-term impact. When are we going to see the alignment of the statutory holidays and the general holidays so that all of us will have 17 days off? Now, the business sector representatives have left. Well, in fact, we would like to have this 3rd of September as a statutory holiday and general holiday every year. Without the victory, I don't know what would have happened to Hong Kong. Of course, some would say that the victory has got nothing to do with us, but this is wrong. In fact, during the war, both the mainland and Hong Kong were on the same side, and we had to fight the enemy, and it required the victory on both sides to win the war. So it is a very important message, and I hope that the young people can take the matter seriously and read the history involved. And please imagine that had we not won the war against the Japanese aggression, then Hong Kong would remain as a colony forever, and we don't know what treatment we are getting. So when we come to national sentiments, we need to be aware of it. And I'll leave behind some time for the SLW to answer my questions. Is my calculation correct? And how about our request to have 17 days as statutory holidays? I've answered Tommy Cheung's question. In the year 2011, we're talking about an additional SH, and it would cost us $370 million. So it was something theoretical, and then we assumed that on a particular day, all the establishments have to get extra manpower. And when it is also a jig, then of course the sum will be more than that. As to whether the employer will continue to operate, and if they don't, then of course the additional wage incurred will be of a smaller sum. So in any event, we understand that there will certainly be an impact on our economy, but I think we can cope because it is a one-off thing and it is a special holiday. Now, as to your request to have 17 statutory holidays, all the labor sector representatives have asked for the alignment of the SH and the JIC. I've exceeded the time limit. Can I answer the question? I think many people would like to get the answer from you, so please. Now, the administration is aware of the aspirations of the labor sector. 3 years ago, the Labor Department took the initiative to carry out a study. The Census and Statistics Department has been asked to collect data so as to find out how many employees are having statutory holidays and how many are having general holidays. And we have got the figures back. And in fact, earlier this month, we have come back to the Manpower panel. Now the case is being studied by the LAB. And the cause of it, we have to consider a few things. First of all, we need to be objective and we have to be comprehensive about the assessment of the impact. And in the course of it, we need to consider a few things. 90% of the establishments are SMEs. I think you are all clear about it. For the manpower deployment, business costs, etc. are special. And we have got 335,000 foreign domestic helpers. If we are to have 17 statutory holidays, we can't discount them because they're part of the labor force and they're being protected. Their employment rights are protected. 260,000 households are employing FDHs, and we can't ignore the impact on such households. We need to give time to the LAB so that hopefully they can arrive at a consensus, and then we know about the way forward. So, Mr. Chairman, at this stage, first of all, we know about the labor sector's aspirations, and we need to be comprehensive in our assessment. We have to strike a balance between the employers' coping power as well as the rights and interests of the employees. The LEB will be asked to look at the matter, and when there's a consensus, then we know the way forward. We have to consult the public. We can't lightly sort of add 5 more days to the statutory holidays. It is going to be long-term. It isn't going to be one-off. So we need time and space to study the matter. Thank you, SOW. We know that today we're mainly talking about the 3rd of September, but then aligning the two sorts of holidays would not be something that you can dodge, but we really hope that you can come back to us early. Sin Chung Kai and then Lee Chet Yan. Tommy Cheung has left. Mr. Chairman, I don't think the catering industry needs to worry. By having an extra day off, more people will go out to patronize the restaurants, so they will have a net gain. And in fact, by paying, even after paying OT, there will be a net gain. The employees will always welcome an additional day off. Now, the Victory Day being designated as a holiday, I'm sure it is right for us to support the idea. In the year 2014, it was said that there was a preparation. Well, in paragraph 2 of the paper, you talked about 2014. So you should have known about it. How come that it was only last week that you surprised us and said that it would be a holiday? We need to print our calendars in advance, and establishments have to make arrangements for people to be off. So we should have been given a longer period of time to get ourselves ready. And I think last year you already planned for the commemorative activities. So how come that you only announced it so suddenly? The Standing Committee of the National People's Congress designated the 3rd of September as the Victory Day of the Chinese People's War of Resistance. Last year, on the 3rd of September, there was an official ceremony. For this year, we believe that it is the 70th anniversary. It has historical significance. You only come to the conclusion that it is significant this year? No. Because last year it was the 69th. This year it is the 70th. But you would have known that in 2015 we're going to get the 70th. As I have said, Last year, we tied in with the decision of the Standing Committee of the NPC. The 3rd of September was a day to commemorate the victory. It wasn't a holiday. This year, it is the 70th anniversary. It has special significance. Mr. Sin Chung Kai, follow up? Yes. I want to know whether the government was not didn't plan for such a holiday when the government decided on the holidays last year. Mr. Chairman, the NPCSC made a decision, and then the 3rd of September last year was designated as a day to commemorate the victory, and there was a ceremony.
And as such, we had a ceremony at the Maritime Museum in Saiwan Ho last year, and this year marks the 70th anniversary, and it's a very special occasion. When it was announced last year, everything has been done, and this year is the 70th anniversary, which marks a special occasion. We are at May already. Of course, we welcome this special holiday, but can you announce? Shouldn't you announce it to the public earlier? Anything to add from the Secretary? I think his view is well grounded. We understand that everyone looks forward to an early announcement, but we already managed to make the announcement as soon as we knew it. I think you cannot get anything else out of him. Mr. Lee Cheuk-yan, Mr. Poon Siu-ping. So in other words, the Secretary could not give us an explanation. So let's be honest here. You have not thought about designating a holiday, but it was an order by the central government, right? I think that's something you can do. As we mentioned, and that is to align the 12 days of statutory holiday with the 17 days of general holiday, and you should give an extra 5 days of holiday. This should not, this decision should not have to depend on the central government, right? I think it's very disappointing that we need to get the central government's approval to give to offer 5 extra days of holiday. Who are you actually serving? If you are serving the employees of Hong Kong, well, this is something we have been fighting for down the years, but you have decided to drag it on for years. So can you take a more proactive approach instead of waiting for us to complain or an approval from the central government? This is very sad. In aligning general holidays and labor holidays, and you came up with the math that you would spend $1.8 billion over 5 days, and it would affect our businesses. It really depends on whether you want to do something. It really depends on how you put it. If you want to do something, then you would put it that way. If you don't want something to happen, then you would do it. I don't think you've always said that it's hard to add 5 more days of holiday. Can you just show us some guts and offer 5 extra days of holiday? Chairman, as I said very clearly, we conducted a survey at the Labor Department. We tried to find out the number of employees on statutory holidays and the number of employees on general holidays, and as such we could report the results to the Labor Advisory Board. So we have always been proactive. The difference between 5 days and the 17 days is that the 5 days perpetual, but this time we are talking about a one-off designated special holiday. As I mentioned very clearly, we have to explore the alignment with the Labor Advisory Board. We have to strike a balance. We have to consider and balance the interests of the employees and employers. And we would have to understand the impacts to our economy, and we would also have to look at the impacts of foreign domestic helpers on families. You cannot allow them to all go on holiday at the same time. We have to conduct these analysis. I think there's something the public has misunderstood. There's a difference between general holidays and statutory holidays. General holidays are institutional holidays. They are not part of the employee's benefits. They can be unpaid depending on the circumstances. Some employees are paid on Sundays and some not. This really depends on their contracts. So 5 days of labor holiday is an across-the-board arrangement. So we have to understand the legal and historical basis. It's not as simple as choosing between 12 and 7 days of holiday. And as we mentioned, we conduct reviews on labor policy constantly. So the Labor Advisory Board will continue to look into this matter. Please give them some time. Mr. Poon Siu Ping. Next, Ms. Chen Yunhan. Thank you, Chairman. Of course, we would welcome the designation of a one-off special holiday, and it will be examined by LegCo soon. And I'd like to follow up on what Mr. Lee Cheuk-yen said. I understand your pledge for extra labor holidays. The government mentioned that you would look into the matter with the LAB, and you have to consider the timing as well. We read some statistics last time. Of course, we don't understand that the financial implication is more than 300 million a day. You have not considered social impacts. The introduction of an extra day of holiday might affect businesses. You mentioned the SMEs and the 300,000 odd foreign domestic helpers. You mentioned that the LAB would consider the proposal. Would you submit any recommendations to the LAB? For example, introducing 1 extra day or 2 extra days of holiday next year. Would you have any? Would you propose any timelines to LAB, or else it's meaningless? You would likely have to conduct some lobbying and negotiations, or else the issue will still remain. You have stressed that this is a one-off designation, but the employers feel that, in general, that this is acceptable. So does the government have any concrete timelines to be submitted to the LAB on what the arrangements will be later this year? Mr. Poon, the LAB has constantly studied various labor policies in order to build consensus. This is one example. From the preliminary statistics, perhaps I would invite the Commissioner to share some figures with us. And we have examined the statistics at the LAB, but we are still waiting for more figures. So perhaps the Commissioner can give more. Of course, we are trying to reach a consensus, but I cannot disclose details at the moment. There are still pretty wide discrepancies between the employees and employer representatives, and some employees ask for more information from us, and some employer representatives made some concrete recommendations, and and the employer representatives have heard the views and they would consider the issue. We just had a meeting at LAB last week. Well, it was the second meeting, so hopefully during the next meeting, the Labor Department can submit some information, and hopefully we can come. Hopefully the employer representatives can come back with more suggestions. In terms of the timeline, I think it's our collective wish to strike an agreement as soon as possible. So let's give everybody some room, but we do understand that this is an urgent issue. Mr. Poon. In other words, you will continue to discuss this issue during the next meeting, right? Will it be a month or 2 months later? We just finished a meeting last week, so we won't meet again until a few months later, perhaps sometime during summer. Of course, I hope to have a consensus, but I think everyone should be given time. Ms. Chen Yun-han and Mr. Chen Kim-po. Chairman, this is his anniversary day of to commemorate the victory against Japanese aggression. I think this is rather problematic. I wasn't sure. I might miss the early parts of the discussion since I was with another meeting. The 3rd of September would be a statutory holiday as well as general holiday, and this has been agreed by the government. Is this correct? I think this should be passed by the LAB, right? Yes, I saw you nodding. So apparently, this is a new special holiday proposed by the government. If the government can take a similar lead in terms of aligning the 12 days and 17 days, we can expedite the process. Can the government commit to work on this proposal? Can the governments tell us how what you will do? The government has taken the initiative to initiate this special holiday for 70th anniversary. Can the government take a similar initiative in aligning the general holidays and statutory holidays? This designation of a special holiday is of a one-off basis, but if we increase the number of labor holidays from 12 to 70 days, it will be a permanent arrangement. And as such, we must conduct a comprehensive study and reach a wide consensus among our community. We understand the urge for aligning labor holidays, and as such, the Labor Department conducted a survey together with the Statistics and Census Department, and once the figures are available, we would study the issue with the LAB. The process has already started. We understand everyone's wishes. Secretary, can you promise that you will you wouldn't deny that you took the lead in introducing or designating this special holiday, right? And on the issue of 12 or 7 days of holiday, you should take a similar initiative so that employers would face up to the issue. But it seems that this is not the case. If requested by the central government, you would work harder. But without an order from the central government, you have not really worked hard. So that's the general impression. The LAB's discussions were initiated by the government. This is very clear. We understand there's a need to discuss the issue and reach a consensus, so we've always taken the lead. Chairman, I have another question. Why is this special holiday only designated on a one-off basis in terms of being a permanent or perpetual holiday? Hong Kong has experienced 3 years and 8 months of Japanese occupation, and it was a painful process in Hong Kong. I think a lot of the elderly people still have painful experiences of this time. Why is this not made into a perpetual holiday? We should not only celebrate the anniversary, So do we have to wait for the 75th or 80th anniversary before the next special holiday? In fact, last year, the government has designated the 3rd of September as a special holiday. This is to comply with the NPCSC's decision. This year marks the 70th anniversary, which is a very, very special day worth celebrating. In the mainland, there are large-scale celebrations. In Hong Kong and Macau, there will be celebrations as well. So as far as I understand, this is a one-off designation. Mr. Chen Kim-po, Dr. N. Chen. Thank you, Chairman. I support the designation of this special holiday, but like other members, I'm more concerned with the labor holidays for those 5 extra days. If you are to discuss the issue with employers, then I think you have to I think the discussions will drag on forever. And people tell me that it's easier said than done. There are a lot of technical obstacles to be overcome. But I think it would be a great thing if this can be implemented. I hope the Secretary can take the initiative to tackle all these barriers. Thank you very much for the support. As we mentioned, we have started work with the LAB to draw a clear pathway ahead. We understand the views of the labor representatives. Any follow-up from Mr. Chen Kim-po? I think the government can take the lead. We are just talking about $1.8 billion. It's not a lot of money. I think we should strike a work-life balance for our employees. We should have a dedicated group to tackle this issue like other countries. I think, of course, I have not considered as many factors as you, like the part-timers and foreign domestic helpers. I think you can do it step by step. I hope you wouldn't stall with this, with your efforts. Mr. Chen Kim-po, is that all? Dr. N. Cheng, followed by Mr. Leung Kwok-hung. Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, I have a question for the Secretary. The designation of the 3rd of September as a special holiday, is this just the government's proposal, or do we require electoral approval?
In other words, it hasn't been confirmed. For us in the DAB, we welcome the proposal to designate the 3rd of September as the day marking the anniversary of the victory of the Chinese People's War against Japanese aggression, because in this way our younger generation can understand the suffering we had during the occupation, which lasted for 3 years and 8 months, and then we have to face the question of a great number of people died. Companies and the business sector and even the employees have a lot of plans on their own. And then the 3rd of September would be shortly after the commencement of the school term. It doesn't matter if people have got nothing to do and they have got a day off. It's very bad if some plans have already been drawn up and now you say that 3rd of September should be a holiday. Now, it hasn't yet been endorsed. I think, generally speaking, the public welcome the idea. But then here, the question is, when are you going to approve it? How quickly can you come to the LegCo to get the endorsement? It will be gazetted this Friday. And then next Wednesday, we have the first and second reading of the bill. We need to have the bill read for the 3rd time, and then that should not take place later than the 8th of July when we have the last meeting of the LegCo. Of course, we don't know whether a bills committee will be set up. If you are accommodating and you don't set up a bills committee, then we can compress the time. Can you not make it earlier? No. We are going to introduce the bill next week. and then it will go to the House Committee. Now, if the House Committee thinks that you should go at full steam, I think on the 29th, we can start the work. Yes, please do it expeditiously. You're right to point out that large-scale activities or meetings have already been scheduled. This 8th of July would be the last meeting, and we can only make an announcement after it has been enacted. It isn't yet law. That's what worries us most. If we are to have a high-speed train, and if you agree at the HC, then the earliest would be coming back on the 29th. And then we make an announcement immediately, and then arrangements can be made. So the crucial point is whether there would be a Bills Committee. Once there is a Bills Committee, it will prolong the time. I don't think members here can make a decision. It's up to the HC to make a decision. So, and for you to ask the SOW as to whether it will be done quickly, he can't give you an answer. It all depends on the LegCo. I assume that everybody would welcome this. Just now, many members have said that employees would like it, so there's no reason why we should object it. So I think you can be assured that we will be cooperating with you all out. Leung Kwok-hong and then Leung Yiu-chung. Of course, you tie in with the Central People's Government, which is designating a holiday. Now, for the SOW, according to the latest interpretation, the CPG has got the substantive power to appoint the secretary. And Mr. Chen Zuo has already said that if the Secretary for Education doesn't do his job properly, he has to be accountable. We are no fight against you because you are not accountable to us. Now, if you can't get the 3rd of September, then it will be very bad. Why don't we look at the question of 17 statutory holidays and 12 general holidays? Now, if a foreign domestic helper is having a day off, then the employer will also have a day off because it is a general holiday. Then it means that it is a family day. I don't think the parents will leave home. Of course not. They will have a family time. They will have a family day. When you talk about tourism, you will say that by having the infrastructure, we have hundreds of billions of dollars benefits. Now, for workers who have a day off, they will spend money. Now, of course, for the capitalists who pay for a day off, they don't get any output in return. Of course, the capitalists will say that this is a loss. But then for the workers who have a day off, who go out to spend money, then it will add to the prosperity. My mother used to live in a time when she worked 7 days a week. That's cheap labor. So do you want this? Of course, for the workers in Hong Kong, it appears that we have got many holidays, but it's all because they have got very few days off by way of an annual leave. Now, we have only got 14 days, but others have got many more days. Now, you talked about costing us hundreds of millions of dollars. How do you come to this figure? In fact, other establishments will gain the money. And then by having an extra day off, you have more rest. And then when you resume your work, you will be in a better shape. So we should have 15 days. We should have 15 days each by averaging the SH and the GH. Now, we are having we are having the holiday off. It is a national holiday. Maybe we can come to an agreement. Or Or maybe we're talking about taxpayers' money. So maybe the government should also pay. Now, for you allow civil servants to have a day off. And now you say that the employers are not willing to pay their employees. So why don't you refrain from taking the day off, and then you sacrifice your pay? Usually, long hair's question doesn't need to be answered. It will attract at least 20,000 hits. Lần Yu Chung and then you caught him. Lần Yu Chung. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just now, many members have said that we should endorse the bill ASAP because this is going to mark the 70th anniversary. It is said that we should install. It is said that it is very significant. It is very meaningful. Do you remember that in the year 1998, I moved an amendment to keep the Victory Day as a holiday? But then members who were present at that time objected. Political parties objected. At that time, you felt that it was not meaningful. It is now meaningful. At that time, you felt that it was not significant. Now it is significant. 10 years, only 10 years have elapsed. It seems that a lot has changed. For those who objected strongly to my amendment, said that many people would be objecting it. Now, today, irrespective of objection from some quarters of the community, you are being stubborn and you will persist and you say that it's very meaningful, very significant. SOW. It is significant to mark the 70th anniversary. But what about the 71st? What about the 72nd anniversary? Now, if you say that the 70th anniversary is very significant, next year we won't have a day off. Are we going to tell the young people that it is no longer having a significance? In 1998, I tried to move an amendment. I would like to keep the Victory Day as a holiday, but the members here, who were also a member then, objected my idea. Now you say that you are in support. I don't know what values you have, what position you are taking, and how are you going to explain that the 70th anniversary is significant but not so for the 71st, 72nd, 73rd, etc., etc. Now, SOW, you used to be with the Education Bureau. Now you are the SOW. How are you going to explain the matter to the young generation? It is only significant when we have the 70th anniversary, but not so for the 68th, 69th, 71st, 72nd. If you say that they are all as significant as each other, how come that we don't have holidays for the other anniversaries? Mr. Chen, last year, it was designated as a commemorative day, and there was official ceremony. What about the year before last? And the year before, 2 years before the last? Now this is the 70th anniversary. The nation, Hong Kong and Macau will have large-scale activities. So you know about the special significance of the 70th anniversary. It is not true to say that the 3rd of September is not significant. What about the year 1999, the year 2000? Well, on that occasion, I tried to seek an amendment to keep the Victory Day. What have you done? At that time, it wasn't myself who was responsible for this policy. Now, I want to say that, what about the SARG as a whole, not you yourself alone? What has been done since 1998? My understanding is that it was as a result of the arrangements of holidays, it was abolished. Exactly. Now you're saying that the 70th anniversary is significant, but what about the 72nd? Isn't that also meaningful? How are you going to explain away? on that occasion, I've said that it should be marked, it should be commemorated every year, and then it is significant, it is meaningful. So are you saying that the 71st anniversary is not going to be significant? I've said that the 70th anniversary is of special significance. But since last year, we've already designated the 3rd of September as a commemorative day. I think even if you persist, he will give you more or less the same answer. Next, Mr. Yip Kwok Him. Thank you, Chair. I'm going to support the idea to designate on a one-off basis 3rd of September as a holiday. My colleagues have already said that it is indeed meaningful to commemorate the victory. As to why we haven't got a holiday every year, I think in the past there was this idea that we already had other holidays. As to whether it is appropriate or not, I think different people may have different views. Now, for this Victory Day, in the light of the recent positioning of Japan, I think for China to mark this day, all the more the citizens of China will attach an even greater significance to this special day.
As an annual, if we designate it as an annual holiday, then we need a lot of discussions in our community before it can be passed. But designation of a one-off special holiday would be easier. Next year, we might have an anniversary instead of a special holiday. Whether we would designate it as a permanent holiday is up to discussions in our community. If you say that the 70th anniversary is special, but the 68th or 69th anniversary is not, then I don't really agree with this view. I think it's up to us how we can celebrate these anniversaries. In Chinese culture, it's common to celebrate every 5, 10, or 15 years. So this is rather common in Chinese communities, but it doesn't mean that we have to follow such norms. I think the important thing is to strike a balance. So the DAB is supportive of this proposal. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you very much, Mr. Yip. We have 3 members who wish to ask questions, 4 members rather, for the second round. We have Mr. Leung Yu-chung as well. Since time is limited, I'll draw a line. We only have 4 members. We can only have 4 members. 2 minutes, please. First of all, Dr. N. Cheng. Thank you, Chairman. Lots of fellow members asked about the alignment of the 15th day of general holidays and 17 days of statutory holiday and whether we can merge them. Lots of members of the public are interested in why we cannot merge them. And just now the Secretary said Hong Kong has a number of foreign domestic helpers. If we are to convert labor holidays into general holidays, they should be able to enjoy the 6 extra days of holiday. With the statutory minimum wage, our foreign domestic helpers are not earning minimum wage. They are not regulated by statutory minimum wage. If we are to align public holidays, why would we have to take them into account? This is a great question. First of all, under the employment ordinance, the 12 days of statutory or labor holiday are stipulations under the employment ordinance. These are privileges of all employees, and the employment ordinance covers local and foreign employees, regardless of nationality and country of origin. All employees would be protected. This is a basic protection. So the 10 days of statutory holiday would be given regardless of where you are from. And with statutory minimum wage, we've made it clear that stay-in foreign domestic helpers are excluded. Those stay-in foreign domestic helpers are not covered under statutory minimum wage. The reason is that their place of residence is also their place of work, and a lot of non-cash benefits like meals are provided by the employer. They don't have to pay for transportation and miscellaneous fees. Their disposable income is higher than that of local workers. So as such, they were not included. And we want to align the holidays between foreign domestic helpers and local workers. We have signed an international treaty. It's a violation of the treaty if we don't offer those holidays to foreign domestic helpers. But as I mentioned, under the statutory minimum wage, the nature of work for these domestic helpers are different. They have non-cash benefits, they have accommodation and meals, etc. And as such, minimum wage doesn't apply to this group of workers. Mr. Lee Chuk-yan, second round, 2 minutes, please. I'll be very quick. Chairman, I think we are being unfair to some people. I'd like to know whether the one-off legislation can help these people, and I'm referring to those who have not worked for 3 months at a company. So in other words, if they would not get paid on that special day. So what's the significance of that day to these people? Not all leaves are meaningful. Only paid leaves are meaningful. Would you give them pay under the employment ordinance? Chairman, I'm very familiar with the ordinance. So my question is, would you provide a special arrangement for those who have not worked at an employer for 3 months? Chairman, I believe that this would be very complicated because we have to go back to the LAB. This is a fundamental change. I think that this would be challenging. Would you come back to the LAB? Why didn't you discuss it with the LAB? You know the law, right? You know that those who have not worked for 3 months would not enjoy the pay. This is a one-off arrangement, so you should provide one-off provisions. You said that this is to celebrate the 70th anniversary, and a group of people have to suffer. They won't even get paid. So how can you call this a victory for these people? This is a special arrangement. We have had such measures before. We used to have a holiday on the 2nd of July after the handover, and before the handover, we had special holidays for the visits of Queen Elizabeth and the marriage of Prince Charles. So we had similar arrangements before. Secretary, I think you should try to think of a way. You should allow everyone to enjoy this special day. Mr. Sin Chung Kai, would you consider introducing holidays every 10 years? So will you have a holiday for the 80th anniversary? So I think we have to depend on the administration at that time. We cannot make such an early decision. The historical significance of the day does not depend on the administration, right? So you should bring it to the table every 10 years and see if it's passed by the Legislative Council. If the next term administration is reluctant to grant a holiday, they can get rid of it. I hope Mr. Matthew Chang, you will be here 10 years later. I have no comments on that. Mr. Leung Yiu-chung. Chairman, the 70th anniversary is a big day, so it's common that we celebrate the 5th, 10th, 15th anniversary, etc. By the same logic, why didn't we celebrate the 60th anniversary? I think the truth is that the central government wanted to celebrate the 70th anniversary, and as such we had to follow, and I regret that. Since the handover, we've always insisted on Hong Kong, people ruling Hong Kong in one country, two systems, and with this arrangement, how can you say that Hong Kong is still highly autonomous and we are ruling for ourselves, and we are following the central government, and we have no say ourselves. We have to follow these anniversary days. I'm not against these anniversary days. Since 1998, I moved an amendment that we should celebrate this day every year. At that time, it was rejected, and you urged the LegCo members to reject it. But this year, you have changed your stance, and you are saying that this is significant and should be celebrated. But that doesn't matter either. The point is whether it is our own decision, or are we merely following the central government. If the Hong Kong SAR government feels that this is significant, then please, by all means, go ahead. But this is not the case. This is not your decision. So I deeply regret that. Why can't we be more independent? Why can't we have our own view and stance on this? If you find this day significant, why don't you promote it further? Thank you very much, Mr. Leung Yiu-chung. Mr. Yu Kok-him, final question. 2 minutes, please. Having heard what Mr. Leung Yiu-chung said, we have to amend the legislation. It has nothing to do with Hong Kong people ruling Hong Kong or high sovereignty or highly autonomous nature of Hong Kong SAR. Mainland legislation is another thing. It's not that we are following the mainland's legislation. It's about the administration seeking approval from the LegCo to see if we can designate a one-off special holiday. So I'm sure this is our own decision. So I don't see how we are not independent in this issue. We are exercising our privilege. So I don't understand why Mr. Leung would came up with such conclusion. Does it mean that every decision made based on the central government is not an independent decision? If everyone agrees to this proposal in the LegCo, then we would conduct the legislative amendment. We have the right to reject it. So I just find it strange. Chairman, I'd like to add something. I don't agree with what Mr. Leung Yiu-chung said. We are following the existing mechanism. We would gazette it. We would listen to the views of LegCo, and we are following all the rules. Hong Kong is part of the Pan-Pacific War. We have suffered 3 years and 8 months of Japanese occupation. We should remember this part of history. We should remember significant historical events, and we respect the rules, and LegCo can make a decision. Let me finish. If we follow Annex 3, then it's another case, but this is not. Please be brief. We only have a minute left. If you are so independent, why didn't you designate this public holiday since the 1960s? Why didn't you announce it earlier? And instead, you had to wait until the central government's announcement. So if it's clear that you are following the central government's order, if you find this day so significant, if it's next time, would you announce it as a special holiday without any announcement by the central government? Can you promise that. So I think it's clearly that you are following the central government's order. Chairman, I think we are being off track here. He's talking about independence and high autonomy. This is an important day for Chinese civilization. I'm not against this celebrating this day, or else I wouldn't propose the amendment in 1998. I understand the Chinese government did not stipulate that Hong Kong must have a special holiday, but this is Hong Kong's wish to celebrate together with the Chinese government. It's Hong Kong's decision to celebrate this day together with Macau and the mainland. So we are merely following our own rules. From what I understand, having heard what the members said, no one is opposed to designating this day, the 3rd of September, to the general holiday, right? So we would submit our report to the House Committee. Chairman, I have a request. In the House Committee meeting, I hope you can try to expedite the process with the members so that the bill can be passed as soon as possible. This would be written down in our minutes. Hopefully that will be the case. Thank you very much, Commissioner and Secretary.